Welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel, and in this video, we're going to teach you how to play Avatar the Last Airbender, Aang's Destiny, a cooperative deck building game from the Op, who helped sponsor this video. In Aang's Destiny, players will take on the role of Aang and his allies, working together to take on adversaries, work through objectives, and restore balance to the world while fulfilling Aang's destiny as the Avatar. The game includes 7 boxes that you'll be playing through across 7 different games, with each new box revealing new things. To avoid spoilers, we'll only be looking at the first box in this video. As you play through the game, don't look through any of the boxes unless you're instructed. For the first game, you'll only need box 1, and you can leave boxes 2 through 7 in the box. Box 1 has all of the cards that you'll be using in that first game. To set up the game, put the main board in the middle of the table and then make a supply of tokens next to it. Then shuffle the Fire Nation cards and put them in the top left space of the board face down. And as you put out the different decks of cards, you'll notice that the card backs match the space that they go on the board. Shuffle the adversary cards and put the deck face down, then reveal the first card face up. For your first game, you'll only have 1 adversary active at a time, so this space is going to stay open for the whole game. Put the 2 Fire Nation tracking cards next to each other on the top right side of the board with the lower numbers on the left and the higher numbers on the right, and put the ship on the 1 space. Put the objective deck on its space face down without shuffling it. These cards are in a specific order that's going to guide you through the story, and they also have reward cards in specific places next to the cards that will trigger those rewards. Put the deck face down and reveal the top card face up into the space next to it. If you have a first printing of the game, the objective cards were likely assembled in reverse order. The first card you flip over should be Escape Fire Nation at the South Pole and say 1.1 in the bottom left corner. If it's not, you need to reverse the order of the objective deck. The bottom area of the main board is the support card market. There's 2 different types of support cards, general support cards and bending cards. The type of card is shown on the top left side of the card. The bending cards say bending, and the general support cards could be items or allies. Separate the bending cards from the general cards, and then separate the bending cards by type. In the first game, you'll only have water and air bending cards, and each space in the market shows the type of card that goes there. Put the water and airbending cards face up in their market spaces and then deal 1 card from each deck to the space below it. If you're ever showing a duplicate card, stack those until all of the cards that are showing are unique cards. Put the general support cards in a face down deck and reveal the top 4 cards, and just like the bending cards, keep stacking duplicate cards until there's 4 unique cards showing. And these 2 columns will be empty for the first game because we don't have any earth or fire bending cards yet. To set up the heroes, give each player a player board, hero card, and a reference card, and put your health marker on 10. Your hero card shows that hero's bending abilities on the top left corner. Place the tokens matching your bending abilities in the matching spaces on your player board. Each hero has their own unique starting deck with their name at the bottom of the deck. Take your hero's starting deck, shuffle it, and put it face down on the left side of your player board, then draw 5 cards and you're ready to get started. Because this is a deck builder, you'll be building your own personal deck of cards throughout the game, and you won't be sharing cards with other players. So anytime you draw a card, it comes from your personal deck, and anytime you discard a card, it goes into your personal discard pile. During the game, you're going to take turns going clockwise around the table, and you'll start your first turn with those 5 cards that you drew at the beginning of the game. And you'll always draw up to 5 at the end of your turn, not the beginning. So if you ever have to discard a card on another player's turn, you'll just have to play your turn with fewer cards. On your turn, you'll be playing cards from your hand, primarily to restore health or gain tokens that you'll use to attack adversaries, complete objectives, and buy new cards. At the end of your turn, you're going to discard any cards and tokens that you didn't use, so unless you just have no use for a card or token, there's no reason not to play it since you can't hold on to it after your turn is over. Each turn follows the same structure. First, reveal and resolve the Fire Nation cards. The number of cards that you resolve is based on the location of the boat at the start of your turn. If it's in spaces 1 through 9, you draw 1 card, and 10 through 15, you draw 2 cards. In this case, the card we're resolving has us move the boat up by 2 spaces, so we move it from space 1 to space 3. But other cards may cause players to lose health or discard cards or apply other restrictions for your turn. Next, resolve the adversary ability. Each adversary has an ability in the center of their card. Unless it has a specific triggering event, then it's going to trigger at the beginning of each player's turn. So for this one, the active hero loses 1 health. So I'm going to lose 1 health on my player board. The card also shows their health and the reward that you'll gain when they're defeated. After you've resolved their abilities, it's time to play your cards and take your own actions. And you can do any of your available actions in any order as many times as you're able to or want to on your turn. First, you can play cards from your hand. Most of the cards in your starting deck are played to gain resources, and there's 2 primary resources you'll gain: attack tokens and purpose tokens. When you gain resources, take the tokens from the supply and put them on the matching spots on your player board. Some cards may also be able to heal you or another player, which you'll track on your health tracker on your player board, but your health can never go above 10. So I'm going to play Air Blast to gain 1 attack token. I'm going to play 2 Offer Aid cards, which are each going to give me 1 purpose token. And then I'm going to play Helping Hand, which lets me either gain 1 token or remove the card from play permanently to gain 3 tokens. So I'm going to go ahead and gain 3 tokens, and then I'm going to discard this card for the rest of the game. And finally, I'm going to play Airball to get 1 more attack token. You can attack adversaries using tokens you've earned by stacking attack tokens on their adversary card. When the number of tokens on their card matches their health, they've been defeated and they'll be removed at the end of your turn. You can also assign tokens to objective cards in the same way that you do adversary cards. Each objective shows what it needs to be completed, so this one needs to be assigned 1 purpose token and 1 attack token, which I have, so I'm going to assign both of those now. And tokens that are assigned to adversaries and objectives stay on those cards from turn to turn, so players can work on these over multiple turns until they're completed. When you assign enough tokens to defeat an adversary or complete an objective, take the reward immediately, but don't replace the card until the end of your turn. If the objective reward is to take a card, it will be the next card in the deck, and if a reward card is given to a hero that's not being used in your current game, set that card aside and add it to their starting deck once you finish the game. Sometimes you'll have a card that requires you to assign hearts. Anytime you would gain health, you can choose instead to not gain that health and instead assign 1 heart token to that objective for each health you would gain. So by playing this card, I could choose to not increase my own health and instead assign a heart token to an objective card. And finally, you can use purpose tokens to buy support cards from the market by paying the cost shown on the bottom right corner of the card. Unless an active ability says otherwise, any card you get from the market or from an objective reward goes directly into the discard pile, and you'll gain access to it when your draw pile is empty and you shuffle your discard pile. When you buy a card, don't refill the empty market space. You'll do that at the end of your turn. The general support cards tell you exactly what their ability is on the card, and most of them are going to give you resources, but some have additional abilities that will be active during your turn after they've been played. For instance, this card lets me put any allies that I buy on my turn into my draw pile instead of into my discard pile. Bending cards have 2 abilities. The top ability can be taken by anybody, but the bottom ability can only be used by players who have that bending ability. So if a player bought this card and didn't have the water bending ability, they could only use the top action, but because I do have water bending, if I do buy this card, I can use the top and the bottom action. So I'm going to use my last 4 purpose tokens to buy this water sphere shield and put it directly into my discard pile. And you will encounter other abilities that we haven't covered here as you play the game, but they'll all explain what they do on the card, and the back of the rulebook has an icon reference that you can use throughout the game. Once you've played all of your cards and done all of the actions that you can, it's time to end your turn. If you assign enough attack tokens to defeat an adversary, remove their card and then reveal the next card from the top of the deck. Likewise, if you completed the objective this turn, discard it and flip over the next card of the objective deck. Refill any empty spaces on the market from the appropriate deck, and then discard all of your played cards and any unplayed cards that are still in your hand into your personal discard pile, and then discard any unused tokens that are still on your board back into the supply. If you ever gain tokens on another player's turn, you can keep and use those until the end of your own turn, at which point you'll discard those like normal. And finally, draw back up to 5 cards from your draw pile and it's the next player's turn. If you ever don't have enough cards to draw back up to 5, draw all of the available cards from your draw pile and then shuffle your discard pile to refill your draw pile and then draw any remaining cards from that new draw pile. If your health ever moves below 1 into the stunned space, you're not out of the game, but you will take a penalty. Once you're stunned, you can't lose or gain any more health until your next turn, but you can use abilities that would give you health to add heart tokens to objectives. When you're stunned, immediately discard any tokens that you have saved on your board, then discard half of the cards in your hand rounded down, so I have 5 cards, which means I have to pick 2 cards to discard. Then advance the boat 1 space. If you're stunned on your own turn, you can still play any remaining cards from your hand and take any other available actions on your turn. You recover and reset your health to 10 at the end of the active player's turn, but if you were stunned on another player's turn, don't draw new cards until the end of your own turn. The game ends in 2 ways. If the boat ever reaches the end of the track, you lose immediately. But you win if you defeat all of the adversaries and complete all of the objectives. If you lose a game, you're not quite ready to move on and you need to replay and win the current box before moving on to the next box. But if you win, you can open the next box and follow the instructions for setting up the next game. Some cards will be used for the entire game and others will only be used with certain boxes. The bottom left corner of each card shows the range of boxes that card will be used with, so when you start a new game, make sure you're not using any cards that should only be used with earlier boxes. And that's Avatar the Last Airbender, Aang's Destiny. If you have any questions at all, be sure to leave us a comment below and we'll answer as quick as we can. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.